Preparing environment. Checklist reader is getting ready. Checklist for Beechcraft Turbine Duke is ready. Good, good.
Perform pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist, reading aloud. Pre-flight inspection, complete. Locks and covers, removed or checked. Flight controls, free or checked. Chocks, removed or as required. Cabin door, latched or closed or checked. Nose baggage door, latched or closed or checked. Weights and fuel on electronic flight bag, set or checked. Landing gear, down. Engine, avionics and electrical switches, off or set. Oxygen pressure between 1550 and 1850 pounds per square inch, checked. Circuit breakers, all in or checked. Supplemental bleed air, off or set. Cabin pressurization shut off, open. Alternate static air, normal or set. Carbon monoxide detector, tested or checked. Cabin temperature mode, off or set. Flaps, up or set. Power levers, idle or flight idle or set. Propellers, high RPM or set. Condition levers, Q-half or set. Trims, centered or checked. Fuel selectors, on or set. Pre-flight checklist complete. Up next could be the before engine start checklist.
Perform before engine start checklist.
Before engine start checklist, reading aloud. Parking brake, set or on or as required. Beacon light, on or set. Battery master, on or set. Fuel quantities, checked. Fire detector, tested or checked. Annunciators tested and considered, checked. Battery 1 and 2 bus volts minimum 23, checked. Battery selector, both or set. Auto ignition checked, on or checked. Fuel pumps checked and off or checked. Power levers, flight idle or idle. Flight recorder and other apps, affirmed. Before engine start checklist complete. Next checklist on the schedule seems to be the engine start checklist.
Engine start checklist.
Engine start checklist. Limits are bus volts 15 minimum. ITT less than 1090 C starter off at 52%. Checked. Ignition. Copied. Start engine. Call for resume or continue when complete. Standing by. Connecting to simulator. Simulator connection established. Stop checklist. Copy that, checklist on hold. Which section would you like to activate?
Perform after engine start checklist.
After engine start checklist, reading aloud. Exterior and interior lights, set or as required. Weather radar, off or standby or as required. Avionics, on or set. Inverter, main or set. Inverter fail annunciator extinguished, checked. Cabin temperature mode, set. Navigation, set. Transponder, mode Charlie or altitude or set. After engine start checklist complete. Next checklist on the schedule seems to be the run-up checklist.
Perform before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist, reading aloud. Flaps, approach or set or as required. Trims, set. Oil and battery temperatures, checked. Air conditioning, off or set. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Wing pumps, on or set. Ignition, on or auto or off or as required. Ice protection panel, set. Weather radar, standby or set or off or on or as required. Lights, set or as required or checked. Engine limits 1260 torques and 805 CITT, checked. Before takeoff checklist complete. We are likely continuing with the climb checklist.
I am checking distance, direction, and viewing angle for the most useful recommendation.
Bella Coola Airport. Bella Coola Airport, CYBD, serves as the primary aviation gateway for the Bella Coola Valley. It is a critical hub for regional travel and emergency services in this remote area. The airport was developed to provide reliable access to the isolated coastal community, replacing older, more hazardous landing strips in the region. Identify the runway strip running east-west, situated on the valley floor with distinct taxiways and a small terminal building.
Perform climb checklist.
Climb checklist, reading aloud. Engine instruments, checked. Gear and flaps, up. Ignition, auto or set or on or off or as required. Oil doors, open or set or closed or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Cabin altitude, differential, and climb, checked. Lights, set or as required or checked. Cabin temperature mode, set. Climb checklist complete. The following one appears to be the cruise checklist. Stop checklist. Command not recognized. Please try again. OK, MHM. Simulator connection disabled. Connecting to simulator. Simulator connection established. Kleeneklini River Valley.
The Klinaklini River is a major waterway carving through the coast mountains, flowing from the interior plateau toward the Pacific coast. It is known for its dramatic, steep-walled canyons and pristine glacial water. The valley has served as a traditional travel corridor for indigenous peoples for millennia, connecting the interior to the coast. In the early 20th century, it became a focus for early exploration and mineral prospecting in the region. Look for a deep, winding river channel cutting through high forested slopes. The riverbed often features light-colored glacial silt and gravel bars.
Klinaklini River Valley. The Klinaklini River is a major waterway carving through the coast mountains, flowing toward the Pacific Ocean. It is known for its dramatic glacial-fed waters and steep forested valley walls. The valley has been a traditional corridor for indigenous travel and trade for centuries, connecting the interior plateau to the coastal regions. Look for a deep, winding river valley cutting through the mountain range, featuring distinct turquoise glacial water.
Dean Channel. Dean Channel is a long, deep fjord extending inland from the Pacific Ocean, surrounded by steep forested mountains. The channel was historically significant to the Nuxalk First Nation and was explored by Alexander Mackenzie in 1793, marking the first transcontinental crossing of North America north of Mexico. Look for a massive, winding waterway cutting deep into the mountain range, appearing as a dark blue ribbon against the rugged terrain.
Dean Channel. Dean Channel is a deep, dramatic fjord cutting through the coast mountains, known for its steep walls and pristine waters. The area has been home to the Nuxalk First Nation for thousands of years, with the channel serving as a vital transportation and resource corridor. Look for a long, winding body of water flanked by towering, dark green forested slopes that rise sharply from the shoreline. Kwatna Inlet. Kwatna Inlet is a deep, narrow fjord extending inland from the Dean Channel. It is surrounded by steep, forested mountains, typical of the Pacific Coast Ranges. The inlet has historically been used by the Nuxalk First Nation for fishing and resource gathering. It remains a remote area with minimal human development. Look for a long, narrow body of water cutting deep into the dark green mountain range. It appears as a sharp, dark blue contrast against the rugged terrain.
Burke Channel. Burke Channel is a major waterway that serves as a primary navigational route through the central coast of British Columbia. It connects the open ocean to the inland fjords. This channel was extensively explored by Captain George Vancouver in 1793 during his survey of the Pacific Northwest coast. It remains a significant maritime passage today. Identify the wide, expansive waterway that intersects your path. It is significantly broader than the surrounding inlets and serves as a major geographical divider.
Dean Channel. Dean Channel is a long, deep fjord that cuts through the coast mountains, offering dramatic views of steep cliffs and cascading waterfalls. This waterway was historically significant to the Nuxalk First Nation and was explored by Alexander Mackenzie in 1793, marking the first transcontinental crossing of North America north of Mexico. Look for a massive, winding body of water that cuts deep into the mountainous landscape, appearing as a dark blue ribbon against the green and gray terrain.
Kwatna Inlet. Kwatna Inlet is a deep, narrow fjord extending inland from the Burke Channel, surrounded by steep, forested mountain slopes. The area has long been part of the traditional territory of the Nuxal Nation, who have utilized the rich marine resources of the inlet for generations. Look for a long, winding body of water cutting deep into the mountains, appearing as a dark blue ribbon against the dense green forest.
Dean Channel, a major fjord system that connects the interior of British Columbia to the Pacific Ocean, known for its immense depth and dramatic scenery. This channel was explored by Alexander Mackenzie in 1793, marking the first recorded transcontinental crossing of North America north of Mexico. Identify the wide, expansive waterway stretching across your path, flanked by towering, snow-dusted peaks. Knight Inlet, one of the longest and deepest fjords on the British Columbia coast, known for its dramatic cliffs and pristine wilderness. The inlet was carved by massive glaciers during the last ice age and has served as a traditional territory for First Nations for millennia. Identify the long, narrow, deep blue water channel winding between steep, forested mountain walls.
Dean Channel. Dean Channel is one of the major fjords of the British Columbia coast, stretching far inland. It is known for its immense depth and the towering mountains that line its shores. This channel was explored by Captain George Vancouver in 1793. It served as a vital maritime route for indigenous trade and later for the logging and fishing industries. Identify the channel by its massive scale compared to the smaller inlets in the region. It appears as a wide, winding waterway that dominates the landscape to your north.
Cliniclini Glacier, a massive, sprawling glacier system feeding into the surrounding alpine valleys. It is a prominent feature of the coast mountains, showcasing the dramatic ice-carved landscape of the region. The glacier has been retreating significantly over the last century due to regional climate changes. It remains a vital subject for glaciologists, studying the impact of warming temperatures on coastal ice fields. Look for a vast, bright white expanse of ice nestled between dark, jagged mountain peaks. The glacier's terminus is often marked by a distinct transition to rocky moraine.
Cliniclini River Valley. The Cliniclini River is a major waterway carving through the coast mountains, flowing from the interior plateau toward the Pacific. Its valley serves as a vital corridor for wildlife and offers spectacular views of glacial runoff. The valley has been a traditional travel route for indigenous peoples for millennia, connecting the interior to the coast for trade and seasonal migration. European exploration of the area began in the late 19th century as part of regional surveying efforts. Look for a deep, U-shaped valley cutting through the mountains. Head and slightly to your left. The river appears as a bright, winding ribbon against the dark forest floor.
Chemahunt River. The Chemahunt River is a river in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, flowing generally west out of the Pacific Ranges into the head of Owykino Lake.
Kwatna Inlet. Kwatna Inlet is a deep, narrow fjord that cuts into the mainland of British Columbia. It is characterized by steep, forested slopes rising directly from the water's edge. The area has been historically significant to the Nuksalk Nation, who have utilized the inlet and its surrounding river systems for generations for fishing and resource gathering. Look for a long, winding body of water extending inland from the coast, flanked by high, dark green mountain ridges. Kwatna Inlet. Kwatna Inlet is a deep, narrow fjord extending inland from the Dean Channel. It is surrounded by steep, forested mountains typical of the British Columbia coastline.
Also spelled
the area
Mockmel River,
has been traditionally
is a river
used
in the
by the
Pacific
Nuksauk
ranges
Nation
of the southern
for
coast
generations,
mountains in British
with the inlet
Columbia,
serving as a
Canada.
vital corridor for
It flows
fishing
west
and
into
travel
Owaikano
between the
Lake.
coast and interior regions. Look for a long, narrow body of water cutting deep into the mountainous landscape, appearing as a dark blue ribbon against the dense green
Neechans
forest.
River. The Neechans River is a river in the central coast region of British Columbia, Canada, flowing north out of the Pacific Ranges into the Mockmel River just before its mouth into the head of Owaikano Lake.
Perform cruise checklist.
Cruise checklist, reading aloud. Ignition, set. Oil doors, open or set or closed or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Ice protection, set. Fuel imbalance at or below 25 gallons, checked. Cruise checklist complete. The following one appears to be the descent checklist.
Owaikano Lake. Weowakinox Lake, also Okino Lake,
Clinaclini
Okino
River
Lake,
Valley. The
Oekano Lake,
Clinaclini
and
River
other
is a major
spellings.
waterway carving through the coast.
Oekino is a large fjord lake in the central coast region of British Columbia, Canada. It connects to the head of rivers inlet by the short Wannock River, Wannock. The lake's name comes from the indigenous people of the region, the Weowakinox, whose settlements and territory lie around the lake. Their largest and principal settlement was on an island in the lower reaches of the lake named Cadid. Owaikano Lake is fed by several large rivers, the Tsio, Ciu, Indiana, Mockmel, Chemahunt rivers. Feeding the Mockmel is the Neechans River, joining the Mockmel just above its mouth into the lake. The Wash River similarly joins the Tsio just above that river's estuary into the lake.
I will call radio altitude on approach. Route monitoring back on. I'm tracking your flight path. Simulator connection disabled. Connecting to simulator. Simulator connection established.
Owaikano Conservancy. The Owaikano Conservancy is a conservancy in British Columbia, Canada. It preserves the western parts of the north and south coasts of Owaikano Lake in the Central Coast Regional District, as well as the Ashlulm Creek, Indiana River, and Reeve Creek basins on the north coast. It borders the Cadid 1 Reserve with rivers inlet to its west and the Lockhart-Gordon Conservancy to its south. It is approximately 65 kilometers south of Bella Coola. Established in 2007, the Conservancy covers 70,569 hectares of land. Owaikano Conservancy. The Owaikano Conservancy is a conservancy in British Columbia, Canada. It preserves the western parts of the north and south coasts of Owaikano Lake in the Central Coast Regional District, as well as the Ashlone Creek, Indiana River, and Reeve Creek basins on the north coast. It borders the Cadid 1 Reserve with Rivers Inlet to its west and the Lockhart-Gordon Conservancy to its south. It is approximately 65 kilometers south of Bella Coola. Established in 2007, the Conservancy covers 70,569 hectares of land. Rivers Inlet, British Columbia. Rivers Inlet is an unincorporated settlement and First Nations community of the Wiiwikiniksp, Owaikano, people, located at the head of the inlet of the same name in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada. The community is located adjacent to the Wannock River, a short waterway connecting Owaikano Lake to the head of Rivers Inlet. Niknakwit River. The Niknakwit River is a river in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, flowing north into the head of Rivers Inlet just south of the mouth of the Wannock River. Cadid Indian Reserve No. 1. Cadid Indian Reserve No. 1 is the main Indian reserve of the Wiiwikiniksp people, and is one of the 3 reserves governed by the Wiiwikiniksp Nation Band government. It is located in British Columbia, Canada, on the entrance to Owaikano Lake on the north side of the Wannock River near to, but separate from, the non-native community and sport fishing resort of Rivers Inlet. Similarly named Cadid Island is in the Wannock River at 51°4041 and 127°1148 W, while Coddy Creek is downstream, near the mouth of the Wannock River at 51°4047 and 127°1500 W near the Wiiwikiniksp village known as Oikno. Oikno. Oikno is a First Nations village of the Wiiwikiniksp, that is located on the north bank of the Wannock River just upstream from its mouth into Rivers Inlet. It is adjacent to the sport fishing resort community of the same name.
Perform cruise checklist.
Cruise checklist, reading aloud. Ignition, set. Oil doors, open or set or closed or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Ice protection, set. Fuel imbalance at or below 25 gallons, checked. Cruise checklist complete. We are likely continuing with the descent checklist.
I am checking our current position and looking for notable landmarks. Huatna Inlet. Huatna Inlet is a deep, narrow fjord extending inland from the Dean Channel. It is surrounded by steep, forested mountains typical of the Great Bear Rainforest region. The inlet has historically been used by the Nuksalk First Nation for fishing and resource gathering. It remains a remote and largely untouched wilderness area. Look for a long, winding body of water cutting deep into the mountainous coastline. The dark blue water contrasts sharply with the deep
Brunswick,
green slopes
British
of the surrounding
Columbia.
peaks.
Brunswick is a settlement in British Columbia, located near the village of Lions Bay. The name Brunswick is used for the railway point and former flag stop at this location for the British Columbia Railway. McAllister Point. McAllister Point is a point in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, on the east shore of the meeting of Moses and Rivers Inlets.
Goose Group. The Goose Group is a cluster of small islands located in Queen Charlotte Sound, known for their jagged shorelines and dense coastal vegetation. These islands have long been part of the traditional territory of the Heiltsuk First Nation, who have utilized these waters for fishing and navigation for centuries. Look for a tight cluster of dark, forested islands rising from the deep blue waters of the Sound.
Brunswick, British Columbia. Brunswick is a settlement in British Columbia, located near the village of Lions Bay. The name Brunswick is used for the railway point and former flag stop at this location for the British Columbia Railway. Chuckwalla River. The Chuckwalla River, Siagvala in Ookila, meaning short river, is a river in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, flowing into Kilbala Bay, which is a side water of Rivers Inlet. The river's headwaters are at 51 degrees 52 minutes north, 127 degrees 54 minutes west. The Kilbala River also flows into Kilbala Bay. Kilbala Bay. Kilbala Bay is a bay on the central coast of British Columbia, Canada, off the north side of Rivers Inlet to the northeast of McAllister Point. A steamer landing formerly operated by the Northland Navigation Company was located on the east side of the bay. The Kilbala and Chuckwalla rivers both enter the sea at Kilbala Bay. The location is within the traditional territory of the Wiiwikiniksv. Kiltala Indian Reserve No. 2, one of their Indian reserves, is located at the mouth of the Kilbala River. McAllister Point. McAllister Point is a point in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada,
Smith
on
Sound.
the east shore
Smith
of the meeting
Sound
of
is a
Moses and
significant
Rivers
inlet
Inlets.
located on the central coast of British Columbia, serving as a gateway to the mainland fjords. It is known for its steep, cold waters and surrounding steep, forested mountains. The area has been inhabited by indigenous peoples for thousands of years, with the Sound serving as a vital maritime corridor for trade and travel. European exploration began in the late 18th century, though the region remains largely wild and sparsely populated. Look for a large, wide body of water cutting deep into the coastline, flanked by high, dark green mountain ridges.
Rivers Inlet, British Columbia. Rivers Inlet is an unincorporated settlement and First Nations community of the Wiiwikiniksv, Owykino, people, located at the head of the inlet of the same name in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada. The community is located adjacent to the Wannock River, a short waterway connecting Owykino Lake to the head of Rivers Inlet. Niknaquit River. The Niknaquit River is a river in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, flowing north into the head of Rivers Inlet just south of the mouth of the Wannock River. Wannock River. The Wannock River is a short river in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, draining Owykino Lake and entering Rivers Inlet at the head of that inlet,
The Goose Group is a
adjacent to the
cluster
town
of
of the
small
same
islands
name,
located
which
in
is the main
Queen
modern
Charlotte
settlement
Sound,
of the
known for their
Wiiwakeenaks.
rugged beauty and
Owykino,
isolation. These
people.
islands have long been
Catted
part
Indian
of the
Reserve
traditional
number 1 is
territories of the
located around the
Heiltsuk
banks of
First
the river,
Nations, who have
including Catted
utilized
Island,
these
which
waters
is
for
an island in the
generations.
river.
Look for a tight cluster of dark, forested islands emerging from the water, contrasting with the surrounding open ocean.
Walbran Island. Walbran Island is an island in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada. It is located on the northwest side of Rivers Inlet near its mouth into Fitzhugh Sound. Kokmai Indian Reserve Number 3. Kokmai Indian Reserve Number 3, officially Kokmai 3,
Kwapna Inlet.
is one of the
Kwapna
3
Inlet
Indian
is a deep,
reserves of the
narrow
Wiiwakeenaks
fjord
Nation
extending
Band
inland
government
from the Dean
located
Channel.
on the west
It is
tip of
surrounded
Walbran
by
Island,
steep, densely
which is near
forested
Darby
mountains
Channel in the
typical of the
area
Great
of
Bear
Fitzhugh Sound on the
Rainforest.
central
Region.
coast of
The
British
area
Columbia,
has been
Canada.
traditionally used by the
The other two
Nuksauk Nation for
Wiiwakeenaks reserves are
generations,
Kilgala
serving
Indian
as a vital
Reserve Number
corridor
2
for
on the
fishing
Kilgala
and
River
seasonal
near
travel.
Kilgala Bay
It
and
remains
Catted
largely
Indian Reserve
untouched
Number
by
1,
modern
up the
development,
Wannock River
preserving
from
its
the community
pristine
of Rivers
wilderness
Inlet at the
character.
entrance
Look
to
for a long,
Owykino Lake.
dark blue finger of water cutting sharply into the mountainous coastline. It appears as a distinct break in the otherwise continuous green and gray mountain face.
Lockhart-Gordon Conservancy. The Lockhart-Gordon Conservancy is a conservancy in British Columbia, Canada. It preserves the northern coast of the Drainey Inlet, as well as the Lockhart-Gordon Creek and the Drainey Creek basins, in the Central Coast Regional District. It borders the Owykino Conservancy to its north and the Ne'i/Nekite Estuary Conservancy to its southeast. It is approximately 120 kilometers south of Bella Coola and 20 kilometers south of Rivers Inlet. Established in 2007, the conservancy covers 24,501 hectares of land.
Smith Sound. Smith Sound is a major inlet on the central coast of British Columbia, serving as a gateway to the intricate network of fjords in the region. It is known for its steep, cold waters and the surrounding steep, forested mountains that define the coastline. The area has been inhabited by the Kwasala Nequoxtaxwa First Nations for millennia, who relied on the rich marine resources of the Sound. European exploration of this coastline occurred in the late 18th century as maritime fur traders sought routes through the complex geography. Look for a large, wide body of water opening up to the west, flanked by high, dark green mountain walls. The entrance is marked by several small islands and rocky outcrops that contrast with the deep blue water.
Boswell, British Columbia, Central Coast. Boswell was a cannery town in the Central Coast region of the south
Goose
coast
Group.
of
The
British
Goose Group
Columbia,
is a small cluster
Canada,
of islands
located
located
on
off
the north
the
side
coast
of
of Hunter
Boswell
Island
Inlet,
in British
an arm of
Columbia.
Smith
These
Sound.
islands are part of a larger
Boswell first
archipelago known
appeared
for
in the
its
British
dense
Columbia
temperate
Gazette on April
rainforests
7,
and jagged shoreline.
1955,
The area has long
listed
been
as a
utilized
steamboat
by
landing
First
serving the
Nations groups
Boswell
for
Cannery,
traditional
one of
fishing and resource
243
gathering.
on the British
European
Columbia
exploration
coast.
of these coastal waters
After the
began
cannery
in the late
closed and steamer
18th
service
century
ended,
as maritime
the site
fur
was
traders
listed as
mapped the
uninhabited
intricate
from
inlets.
1987
Look for a
onwards and
cluster
is
of
now
small,
listed as an
heavily
abandoned
forested
locality.
islands emerging from the
Boswell
dark
is
waters of
completely
the Queen
uninhabited
Charlotte
today,
Sound. They
but the
appear
wharf
as a
from its days
distinct
as a
group
steamboat
slightly
landing
to the right
serving
of
the
your
cannery
current
remains,
201
and the site
degree
has
heading.
water and shelter, so is still shown on nautical charts and in sailing guides. Smith Sound, British Columbia. Smith Sound is a sound on the central coast of British
Calvert
Columbia,
Island. Calvert
Canada,
Island is a
located
large,
to the south
rugged
of
island
Rivers Inlet
located
and
on the
between the
central
Queen
coast
Charlotte
of British
Strait region,
Columbia, known
S,
for its pristine
and
white
Fitzhugh
sand
Sound,
beaches and
N.
dense old growth
Smith
forests.
Sound is the
It is part
traditional
of the
home and
Hecate
territory
Depression
of the
and
Guasala
serves as
group
a
of Kwakwaka'wako,
vital ecological
who
area
are
within
today
Hakai
organized
Lux
with the
Valley's
NAKWAX
Conservancy.
XW,
The island has been
Nakotok,
inhabited by
into the
indigenous peoples for
Guasalanakwax
thousands of
XW
years,
nations
with
band
archaeological evidence suggesting
Indian reserves on
continuous
Smith Sound
occupation.
and
In
Smith
the
Inlet
19th
under their
century,
governance
it became
are
a site for early
An island
European
IR number
maritime
7,
exploration
on an
and
island,
later supported
10.10
small-scale
ha.
logging and fishing
Hallows
operations.
IR
Look
number
for the
5,
large,
at the
forested
mouth of
landmass
Smokehouse
featuring
Creek at the head
distinct
of
white
Long Lake,
sandy beaches along
3.60
its western
ha.
shoreline. The island is
Nekite IR
separated from
number
the
2,
mainland by the
at the mouth of the
Fitzhugh
Nekite
Sound.
River, which is at the head of Smith Inlet, 66.80 ha. Nath Legalis IR
Flight
number 3,
monitoring back on.
comprising Indian
I've got
Island
your
and
back.
5 smaller islands in Takush Harbor, which is on the south side of Smith Sound,
Goose Bay is a secluded
134.40 ha.
inlet located along the
Tux
rugged
IR number 4,
coastline of British
at the junction
Columbia,
of Long Lake
offering
and Weekly's
pristine
Lagoon,
wilderness views.
5.60
The area has
ha.
long been utilized by
Seetsum
indigenous
Salisala IR
peoples
number
for
6,
fishing and
on the
resource
north shore
gathering,
of Nasash
later
Inlet,
becoming part of the
which
remote
branches off the
maritime
north side of
landscape
Smith
of the
Inlet,
Pacific Northwest.
2.10
Look for
ha.
a distinct, narrow
Weekles
inlet
IR
cutting
number
into the
1,
coastline,
on the south shore
characterized
of
by
Smith
calm,
Sound at the
dark
entrance to
waters
Weekly's
contrasting
Lagoon,
with the surrounding dark green forest.
223 ha. Takush Harbor. Takush Harbor is a harbor on the south side of Smith Sound in the central coast region of British
Terrain ahead.
Columbia,
Check altitude.
Canada. Nath Legalis IR number 3 of the Guasalanakwax XW Nations Band Government of the Kwakwaka'wako peoples is located in Browning Channel in front of the harbor. The Takush River enters Smith Sound in the same area, at
Fitzhugh
Ocklaker
Sound.
Channel.
Fitzhugh Sound is a major marine channel that serves as a vital shipping lane and migratory route for various marine mammals. It separates the mainland coast from the offshore islands, providing a sheltered passage for vessels. The sound has served as a primary maritime highway for indigenous peoples for millennia and later became a key route for European explorers and the maritime fur trade in the 18th century. Identify the wide, deep blue expanse of water stretching north to south, flanked by steep, forested mountains on both sides.
Takush River. The Takush River is a small river on the central coast of British Columbia, Canada, flowing north into Ocklaker Channel, which is part of Smith Sound.
Smith Sound. Smith Sound is a deep, narrow inlet located to the east of your current position. It features steep, forested slopes typical of the British Columbia coastline. The area has been inhabited by the Guasalanakwax people for thousands of years, who utilize the rich marine resources of the sound for sustenance and trade. Identify the deep, dark blue water channel cutting inland through the dense green forest. It stands out against the lighter mountainous terrain. To your left,
Cape Caution. Cape Caution is a headland along the central coast of the Canadian province
Calvert
of British
Island.
Columbia.
Calvert Island is
It
a
is the
large,
point where
rugged
Queen
island
Charlotte Strait
located
meets
on the
Queen
central
Charlotte
coast of
Sound,
British Columbia,
as well as
known
where
for its
Mount
pristine
Waddington
white
Regional
sand
District meets
beaches
Central
and dense
Coast
old
Regional
growth
District.
forests. It is part of the Hakai-Lux Valleys Conservancy, the largest provincial marine protected area on the coast. The island has been inhabited by the Heiltsuk and Wiikinuks, First Nations, for thousands of years, with archaeological evidence of human occupation dating back over 13,000 years. It remains a site of significant cultural and historical importance to these indigenous groups. Look for a large, heavily forested landmass bordered by dramatic white sandy beaches and turquoise waters. The island stands out against the darker, deeper waters of the surrounding Queen Charlotte Sound. Nawwidi River. The Nawwidi River is a significant waterway flowing through the northern reaches of Vancouver Island, carving through deep valleys toward the Queen Charlotte Strait. It is a vital salmon-bearing stream surrounded by old growth forest. The river and its surrounding area have long been traditional territory for the Kwakwaka'wakwa First Nations, who have utilized the river's resources for millennia. European exploration and logging activities in the 20th century significantly altered the landscape. Though much of the upper watershed remains wild, look for a winding, dark blue ribbon of water cutting through the dense green
Lewis
canopy
Range,
of the forest
Coast
floor.
Mountains.
It is most easily
The Lewis
identified
Range
where
is a
the river
small mountain
widens
range
as
in
it
southwestern
approaches the
British
coastal
Columbia,
lowlands.
Canada, located north of Maraworth Sound. It has an area of 52 square kilometers and is a sub-range of the Pacific Ranges, which in turn form part of the Coast Mountains.
Nawwidi River. The Nawwidi River is a significant waterway flowing through the northern wilderness of Vancouver Island. It is known for its pristine salmon-bearing waters and dense, surrounding old-growth forest. The river and surrounding valley have long been utilized by the Kwakwaka'wakwa First Nations for traditional fishing and resource gathering. In the 20th century, the area saw significant logging activity, though large portions remain protected today. Look for a distinct, winding river valley cutting through the dense green canopy, flowing generally toward the northwest coast. Cape Scott Provincial Park, a vast, rugged wilderness area at the northern tip of Vancouver Island, known for its windswept beaches and historic
Let me check
lighthouse.
the engines.
The area was
Engine
historically
parameters are in the
significant
green.
to the First Nations and later saw failed attempts at settlement by Danish immigrants in the late 19th century. Look for the prominent, jagged coastline where the Pacific Ocean meets the northern extremity of the island, characterized by rocky headlands and sandy coves.
Allison Harbor. Allison Harbor, also formerly known as False Bay and False Schooner Passage, is a natural harbor on the central coast of British Columbia, Canada, extending north from Queen Charlotte
Nawwidi
Strait
River.
to
The
the southeast
Nawwidi
of
River is a
Bramham Island.
significant waterway flowing
It is the
through
site of the former
northern
post
tip of
office and
Vancouver
steamer
Island
landing
into
of
the
Allison
Queen Charlotte
Harbor,
Strait. It
British
is known
Columbia.
for its pristine wilderness
The
and
Allison Reefs lie
salmon-bearing
in the
waters.
entrance to the
The
sound.
area surrounding
Allison
the river
Cone,
has long been part of the
185
traditional
which is
territory
nearby
of the
between Shelter Bay
Kwakwaka'wakwa
and
First
Cape Caution,
Nations. It
was
remains
named in
largely
association
undeveloped,
with Allison
preserving its
Harbor.
ecological integrity.
It is now
Look for a
protected as
winding,
part of Allison
dark-colored
Harbor
river
Marine
cutting
Provincial
through the
Park.
dense green canopy of
There is
the
no
forest,
connection to
flowing
Allison
generally
Sound,
northward toward
which
the
is an arm
coast.
of Belize Inlet in the complex of inlets leading out of Seymour Inlet. Allison Harbor Marine Provincial Park. Allison Harbor Marine Provincial Park is a park located in British Columbia, Canada. It encompasses a tract of 132 hectares, 330 acres, comprising both 89 hectares, 220 acres, of elevated lands, and 43 hectares, 110
Cape
acres,
Scott Provincial
of coastal
Park.
foreshore.
Cape Scott Provincial
It
Park
lies
is a
at the
wild
median
and
point
remote
along the
wilderness
southern
area,
boundary of Allison
located at the
Harbor and is
northwestern tip
distinguished
of
by the
Vancouver
presence of
Island.
3
It is
secluded
known for
coves
its
and a
rugged
pair of meandering
coastline, sandy
streams.
beaches, and significant historical sites related to early 20th century Danish settlements. The area was the site of a failed Danish settlement attempt in the late 1890s and early 1900s. A harsh environment and isolation eventually led the settlers to abandon the site, leaving behind remnants that are now protected within the park. Look for the prominent, jagged peninsula extending into the Pacific Ocean at the far northwestern end of the island. The coastline features distinct white sandy beaches contrasting against dark, forested cliffs. Nowiddy
Hardy.
River. The Nowiddy River is a
Port Hardy
significant
is a
waterway
district
that carves
municipality in
through the
British
northern tip of
Columbia,
Vancouver
Canada,
Island,
located on the
eventually
northeast
emptying
tip of
into the Queen
Vancouver
Charlotte
Island.
Strait. It is known
Port
for its
Hardy has
pristine
a
salmon-bearing
population of
waters and dense,
3,902
surrounding
as of the
old-growth forest.
2021
The area
census.
surrounding the river has
It is
long
the
been
gateway to Cape
utilized by
Scott
the
Provincial Park,
Kwakwaka'wakwa
the
First
North Coast
Nations
Trail
for
and the
traditional
BC
fishing
Marine
and
Trail,
resource gathering.
located on the
In the 20th
northernmost tip of
century, the
Vancouver
river
Island.
basin became a focal
The
point
community
for
has
logging
access to
operations,
various
though
outdoor
much of the
activities,
surrounding
such as
landscape
kayaking,
remains rugged
caving,
and largely
scuba
untouched.
diving,
Look for a
nature
winding,
viewing,
silver-toned
surfing,
ribbon of water cutting
saltwater
through the deep
rapids,
green
fishing
canopy.
and
The
camping.
river mouth is particularly
Port Hardy's
distinct
twin
where
city
it
is
widens
Numeda,
before meeting the
Japan.
dark waters of the strait.
Perform descent checklist.
Descent checklist, reading aloud. Cabin altitude goal, set. Navigation, set. Ignition, on or auto or set or as required. Oil doors,
Nowiddy
open
River.
or set
The
or
Nowiddy
closed
River
or as required.
flows through the northern part
Ice
of Vancouver
deflectors, on or
Island,
set or off
carving
or
a
as
path
required.
through dense temperate
Ice protection, set. Descent checklist complete. We are likely continuing with the approach checklist.
Perform descent checklist.
Descent checklist, reading aloud. Cabin altitude goal, set. Navigation, set. Ignition, on or auto or set or as required. Oil doors, open or set or closed or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Ice protection, set. Descent checklist complete. We are likely continuing with the approach checklist. Let me look at the fuel state. Fuel looks fine. Tanks balanced, flow is normal.
Port Hardy Airport.
Leaving
Port Hardy
3,900
Airport,
for 1,100.
YZT, ICAO, CYZT, is located 5.2 nautical miles, 9.6 kilometers, 6.0 miles, southeast of Port Hardy, British Columbia, Canada. The airport is classified as an airport of entry by NAV Canada and is staffed by the Canada Border Services Agency, CBSA. CBSA officers at this airport can handle general aviation aircraft only, with no more than 15 passengers. There are no Canada Border staff based at the Port Hardy Airport. A CanPass toll-free number is available for CBSA service. Fort Rupert. Fort Rupert, Kwakwala, Saxes, is the site of a former Hudson's Bay Company, HBC, fort on the east coast near the northern tip of Vancouver Island, British Columbia. The unincorporated community on Beaver Harbor is about 11 kilometers, 7 miles, by road
2,500.
southeast of Port Hardy. Beaver Harbor, British Columbia. Beaver Harbor is a harbor or bay on northern Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, located to the east of the town of Port Hardy. Beaver Harbor Provincial Park was located on the west side of the bay but was transferred to local governance in 1970.
1000 to level off.
Perform approach checklist.
Approach checklist, reading aloud. Cabin altitude, differential, and rate, checked. Cabin temperature mode, off or set. Fuel selectors and imbalance, checked. Propellers high RPM, set. Lights, on or set or as required. Windshield and prop heats, set. Altimeters, set. Ignition, on or auto or set or as required. Wing pumps, on or set. Oil doors, open or set or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Approach checklist complete. The following one appears to be the landing checklist. Check gear. Approaching. 1000. Unstable approach.
Perform landing checklist.
Landing checklist, reading aloud. Gear, down. Flaps, approach or set or down or as required. Lights, on or set or as required. Cabin differential 0, checked. Landing checklist complete. Next checklist on the schedule seems to be the after landing checklist. 500. 400. 100 above. 300. Minimums. 200. 100. 50. 30. 10.
Properly greased that one.
Look at that. One of my fuel injectors is not working. before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist, reading aloud. Flaps, approach or set or as required. Trims, set. Oil and battery temperatures, checked. Air conditioning, off or set. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Wing pumps, on or set. Ignition, on or auto or off or as required. Ice protection panel, set. Weather radar, standby or set or off or on or as required. Lights, set or as required or checked. Engine limits 1260 torques and 805 CITT, confirmed. Before takeoff checklist complete. Possibly next comes the after landing checklist. Airspeed alive. V1. Rotate. V2. Leaving 100 for 1100. 1000 to level off. $500.
Perform climb checklist.
Climb checklist, reading aloud. Engine instruments, checked. Gear and flaps, up. Ignition, auto or set or on or off or as required. Oil doors, open or set or closed or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Cabin altitude, differential, and climb, checked. Lights, set or as required or checked. Cabin temperature mode, set. Climb checklist complete. Possibly next comes the after landing checklist. Taking a look at the engine parameters. Temps and pressures look good on the engines.
Soinchula is an isolated village on Malcolm Island in British Columbia,
Approaching.
Canada. Lying between Vancouver Island and the British Columbia mainland, northeast of Port McNeill and not far from Alert Bay, the island is part of the historic and present territory of the Namgis First Nation. At the 2021 census, the village had a population of 513, down 0.8% from the 2016 census. Broughton Strait. Broughton Strait is a strait off the north coast of Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, separating that island from Malcolm and Cormorant Islands, on the farther side of which is the larger Queen Charlotte Strait, which also lies beyond the western end of Broughton Strait, and the mouth of Knight Inlet. Farther east from Broughton Strait is the beginning of Johnstone Strait, which leads via Discovery Passage to the Strait of Georgia. Communities on the Broughton Strait include Port McNeill, on Vancouver Island, and Soinchula, and Alert Bay, on Malcolm and Cormorant Islands respectively. Haddington Island is located in the middle of the strait. Malcolm Island. Malcolm Island is an island along the northeast coastline of Vancouver Island in the Canadian province of British Columbia. Located in the Queen Charlotte Strait, it is separated from Vancouver Island by the Broughton Strait, with Haddington Island and Cormorant Island situated in the middle. It has ferry access
Terrain
from the
ahead,
Vancouver
check
Island
altitude.
community of Port McNeill. The island is located within the Mount Waddington
Roger,
Regional
running
District.
a full scan.
Malcolm
Engines
Island
look
has
good and
daily
matched.
BC ferry service
Fuel
for
looks
both
good,
vehicles and
tanks balanced.
passengers.
Total
The ferry
electrical load
schedule
is
is
high at
available at
321 amps.
bcferries.com. There are
Hydraulics
approximately
look good.
6 daily sailings.
No active warnings.
The main community
That
on
is the full
Malcolm Island
picture.
is Soinsula.
One item need attention.
Malcolm Island was named for Admiral Sir Pulteney Malcolm. Broughton Archipelago Provincial Park. Broughton Archipelago Provincial Park is the largest marine provincial park located in British Columbia, Canada. The park is located in the Queen Charlotte Strait around 30 kilometers, 19 miles, east of Port McNeill, a town situated on Vancouver Island. In terms of its functions, the park offers tourism opportunities such as kayaking and whale watching, preserves a wide array of wildlife including many at-risk species, and has a long history of use by First Nation peoples.
Alright, let me take a look at the systems. Engines look good and matched. Fuel looks good, tanks balanced. Total electrical load is high at 321 amps. Hydraulics look good. No active warnings. That is all I found across 5 systems. Keep an eye on those items. I will announce every 1,000 feet. Initializing checklist reader systems. Please stand by. Connecting to simulator. Simulator connection established.
I am comparing our heading with nearby cities, rivers, terrain. Kelsey Bay. Kelsey Bay is a small, picturesque community located on the eastern coast of Vancouver Island. It serves as a vital gateway for local marine traffic and offers stunning views of the surrounding mountainous terrain. Historically, the area was a significant hub for the logging industry, which shaped the development of the local infrastructure and the bay's maritime character. Look for the distinct indentation of the bay along the coastline, characterized by a small harbor and cluster of buildings near the water's edge.
Hull Island, British Columbia. Hull Island is an island in the Central Coast region of British Columbia, Canada, located in Havana Channel to the east of the southern end of East Cracroft Island.
Perform cruise
Broughton
checklist.
Archipelago. The Broughton
Checklist for
Archipelago
Vault
is a
F4U1D
sprawling group of
Corsairs
islands
ready.
and islets
Well,
located at the southern
terrain
end of
ahead,
Queen
check
Charlotte
altitude.
Strait. It is known for its complex network of protected waterways and rich marine biodiversity. The area has been a traditional territory of the Kwakwaka'wakwa First Nations for thousands of years. It was later surveyed by Captain George Vancouver in 1792 and named after his lieutenant, William Robert Broughton. Look for a dense cluster of numerous small, heavily forested islands scattered across the water to your starboard side.
Starting pre-flight checklist reader initialization.
Turpan Duke.
Confirmed. Grumman F-14 Tomcat checklist loaded.
Kelsey Bay. Kelsey Bay is a small, picturesque community located on the eastern coast of Vancouver Island. It serves as a gateway
Checklist
to the
reader
Johnstone
preparations
Strait
in
and
progress.
is known for its deep water harbor and logging history. Historically, the area was a significant hub for the
Confirmed.
regional logging
Beechcraft
industry, with the
Turbine
bay
Duke
providing
checklist
essential
loaded.
transport
Yeah.
for timber. It has since transitioned into a quiet residential and recreational area for those exploring the nearby marine parks. Look for a distinct indentation in the coastline where a small harbor and cluster of buildings are visible against the dark green forest backdrop. Broughton Archipelago Marine Provincial Park. This is the largest marine provincial park in British Columbia, consisting of a vast network of islands and islets. It is renowned for its rich marine life and cultural significance to the First Nations people. The area has been inhabited by the Kwakwaka'wakwa people for thousands of years, who utilized the islands for seasonal fishing and gathering. It was established as a provincial park in 1992 to protect the unique coastal ecosystem. Look for a dense cluster of small, forested islands surrounded by deep blue channels and rocky shorelines. The park spans a wide area, so focus on the intricate maze of inlets. Discovery Passage. Discovery Passage is a major marine waterway separating Vancouver Island from the Discovery Islands, known for its strong tidal currents. This passage was historically significant for Indigenous peoples and later served as a vital shipping route for European explorers and the logging industry. Identify the narrow, deep blue channel of water running between the large landmass of Vancouver Island and the smaller islands to the east.
Hardwick Island. Hardwick Island is an island in British Columbia, Canada, measuring approximately 78 square kilometers, 30 square miles.
Quadra Island. Quadra Island is one of the Discovery Islands, located between Vancouver Island and the mainland. It is a popular destination for kayaking, hiking, and wildlife viewing. The island was named after the Spanish explorer Juan Francisco de la Bodega y Quadra. It has a rich history of indigenous culture and later became a center for homesteading and small-scale fishing. Identify the island by its dense evergreen forests and the rugged, indented coastline facing the Discovery Passage. Kelsey Bay. Kelsey Bay is a sheltered inlet located on the east coast of Vancouver Island, historically significant as a hub for logging and ferry transport. The area was a vital terminus for the Kelsey Bay ferry route, which connected the northern island to the mainland before the completion of the inland highway. Look for the distinct indentation of the bay surrounded by dense evergreen forests and the small wharf structures protruding into the water.
Jackson Bay, British Columbia. Jackson Bay is a settlement in British Columbia. It lies on a northerly inlet from Johnstone Strait north of Hardwick Island. It is within Topaz Harbor, a good anchorage for ships. There was at least one First Nations village, of the Kwakwaka'wakw, on the site. Ethnic European settlers arrived from the 1910s onwards, beginning with a boat landing location and a general store.
Seward is a
Logging and
quiet
fishing were
village
the main
nestled in the
occupations,
Salmon River
along with
Valley,
supporting
surrounded
agriculture,
by dense temperate
until the
rainforests.
1950s
The
when the
village was
settlement was
established in
abandoned.
the early 20th century, primarily driven by the forestry industry, which remains a cornerstone of the local economy. Identify the village by the confluence of the Salmon River and the surrounding cleared logging areas visible against the dark forest. Seward is a small, picturesque village located at the mouth of the Salmon River on the east coast of Vancouver Island. It serves as a gateway to the wilderness of the Nipmuc Valley and surrounding coastal inlets. Historically, the area was a hub for the logging industry, which shaped the development of the community. It has since evolved into a quiet residential area known for its proximity to outdoor recreation and fishing. Look for the cluster of buildings nestled near the delta where the Salmon River meets the sea. The distinct layout of the small harbor and the surrounding dense forest makes it easy to spot. Seward is a picturesque village
Pembroke
nestled
Range.
in the Salmon
The
River
Pembroke
Valley,
Range is a
surrounded
small
by
mountain range
mountains
in
and
southwestern
forests.
British
It
Columbia,
provides a quiet
Canada,
refuge for
between
those
Loughborough
exploring the
Inlet and
northern
Phillips Arm.
reaches of Vancouver Island.
It has an area of
Originally
75
established as a
square
logging and
kilometers and is
farming
a sub-range
community,
of the
Seward
Pacific
has
Ranges, which in
maintained
turn
rural
form part of
character
the coast
despite the
mountains.
modernization of the surrounding forestry operations. Identify the village by the confluence of the Salmon River and the surrounding cleared agricultural fields that contrast with the dark green timber.
Noddles Channel. Noddles Channel is a channel along the coast of British Columbia, Canada. It is located between East Thurlow Island and Sonora Island, in the Discovery Islands archipelago between Vancouver Island and the mainland coast, north of the Salish Sea. Noddles Channel connects to Cordero Channel and Frederick Arm, to the northeast, and to the junction of Discovery Passage and Johnstone Strait,
Kelsey Bay.
to the southwest.
Kelsey Bay is a significant
The channel
marine
features
terminal
Hemming Bay
and
on the
harbor
northern
area
East
that
Thurlow
has long
Island side.
served as a vital link
Thurston
for
Bay
ferry
is on the
services
southern
and
Sonora
logging
Island side,
transport in the
near a
region.
cluster of
The bay
bays,
was a major
Bennington
terminus
Bay,
for the
Handfield
BC
Bay,
Ferries
and
route,
Camelyon
connecting
Harbor, in a
Vancouver
small
Island to
inlet
the
connected
mainland
to
before
Noddles
the
Channel by
service
Burgess
was
Passage and
relocated.
Young
It
Passage.
retains its industrial
Thurston Bay
character
Marine
while
Park is
serving
located
as a
on
scenic
Davis
point
Point,
for local
between
boaters.
Thurston Bay and
Identify the
Noddles
large
Channel.
wharf structure and the distinct breakwater extending into the deep blue waters of the bay. Seward is a small, remote village located at the mouth of the Salmon River on the east coast of Vancouver Island. It serves as a gateway to the wilderness of the Nipmuc Valley and the surrounding coastal mountains. The area was historically inhabited by the Coast Salish people. European settlement began in the early 20th century, primarily driven by the logging and fishing industries that still define the local economy today. Look for the cluster of buildings situated near the wide estuary of the Salmon River, contrasting with the dense surrounding forest.
Vancouver Bay, British Columbia. Vancouver Bay was a cannery town on the south coast of British Columbia, Canada, located on the east side of Prince of Wales Reach of Lower Jervis Inlet, at the bay of the same name, which is the mouth of the Vancouver River. BC Forest Products had a large logging camp in the valley and it ran from the 1930s to the 1970s. Trains and later trucks were used.
Quadra Island. Quadra Island is a large, rugged island separated from Vancouver Island by the Discovery Passage. It is a popular destination for kayaking, hiking, and wildlife viewing. The island has a rich history tied to the Coast Salish peoples. It became a center for early European settlers involved in fishing and forestry during the early 1900s. Identify the island by its dense evergreen forests and the jagged, irregular coastline that defines the eastern side of the Discovery Passage.
Comox Strathcona Regional District. The Regional District of Comox Strathcona was a regional district of British Columbia, Canada, from 1967 to 2008.
Discovery Passage.
On February
Discovery
15,
Passage is a major marine channel
the regional
separating
district was
Vancouver
abolished and
Island from the
replaced by two
Discovery
successor
Islands,
regional
known for its
districts,
strong tidal
Comox
currents.
Valley
This
and
passage
Strathcona.
was charted by Captain
The
George
district
Vancouver
covered
in
large portions of northern
1792
Vancouver Island and
and has
included part
served
of
as
the
a vital
mainland north of the
maritime
Sunshine
route for
Coast.
indigenous peoples
As
and
of the
settlers for
2006
centuries.
census,
Identify
the
deep
regional
blue
district
channel of
had a
water running
population
between
of
the
100 and
landmasses, often featuring visible white
1,595.
caps due to tidal
The
flow.
district's administrative offices were located in Courtenay, although the most populous incorporated community was the district municipality of Campbell River.
Discovery Passage. Discovery Passage is a narrow and deep waterway separating Vancouver Island from Quadra Island. It is known for its strong tidal currents and significant marine traffic. The passage was named by Captain George Vancouver during his 1792 expedition. It has historically been a vital maritime route for indigenous peoples and later for European explorers and traders. Identify the deep blue channel of water flanked by the rugged, forested coastlines of Vancouver and Quadra Islands.
Perform descent checklist.
Descent checklist, reading aloud. Cabin altitude goal, set. Navigation, set. Ignition, on or auto or set or as required. Oil doors, open or set or closed or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required.
Kwathiaski
Ice protection,
Cove.
set.
Kwathiaski Cove is a
Descent
small,
checklist
picturesque
complete.
community located
We are
on the
likely
western
continuing
shore of
with the
Quadra
approach checklist.
Island. Historically a site for indigenous settlements, it later became a hub for the local ferry service connecting Quadra Island to Campbell River. Identify the cove by the ferry terminal infrastructure and the cluster of residential buildings nestled along the shoreline.
Com Channel. Com Channel is a channel located between several major islands of the Discovery Islands in British Columbia, Canada. The channel is an important waterway for boats transiting the archipelago. Octopus Islands Marine Provincial Park. Octopus Islands Marine Provincial Park is a provincial park in British Columbia, Canada. It is located between Quadra Island and Morel Island in Okeechobee Channel. Com Channel. Com Channel is a channel located between several major islands of the Discovery Islands in British Columbia, Canada. The channel is an important waterway for boats transiting the archipelago.
Discovery Passage. Discovery Passage is a major marine channel separating Vancouver Island from the Discovery Islands. It is famous for its strong tidal currents and rich marine life, including whales and seals. The passage was charted by Captain George Vancouver in 1792 during his exploration of the Pacific Northwest. It has historically been a critical maritime route for indigenous peoples and later for commercial shipping. Identify the long, narrow body of water running north-south between the landmasses. The water often displays visible swirling currents and whitecaps even in calm wind conditions.
Perform approach checklist.
Approach checklist, reading aloud. Cabin altitude, differential, and rate, checked. Cabin temperature mode, off or set. Fuel selectors and imbalance, checked. Propellers high RPM, set. Lights, on or set or as required. Windshield and prop heats, set. Altimeters, set. Ignition, on or auto or set or as required. Wing pumps, on or set. Oil doors, open or set or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Approach checklist complete. We are likely continuing with the landing checklist.
Discovery Passage. Discovery Passage is a vital marine waterway separating Vancouver Island from the Discovery Islands. It is famous for its strong tidal currents and is a major thoroughfare for marine traffic, including cruise ships and fishing vessels. The passage was named by Captain George Vancouver in 1792 after his ship, the HMS Discovery. It has been a significant navigation route for indigenous peoples and European explorers for centuries. Identify the passage by the deep blue water channel flanked by the forested shores of Quadra Island to the east and Vancouver Island to the west. Powell River Airport. Powell River Airport, YPW serves the local community and provides essential connectivity.
Perform approach checklist.
Approach checklist, reading aloud. Cabin altitude, differential, and rate, checked. Cabin temperature mode, off or set. Fuel selectors and imbalance, checked. Propellers high RPM, set. Lights, on or set or as required. Windshield and prop heats, set. Altimeters, set. Ignition, on or auto or set or as required. Wing pumps, on or set. Oil doors, open or set or as required. Ice deflectors, on or set or off or as required. Approach checklist complete. It looks like the next checklist is the landing checklist.
Perform landing checklist.
Landing checklist, reading aloud. Gear, down. Flaps, approach or set or down or as required. Lights, on or set or as required. Cabin differential 0, checked. Landing checklist complete. Next checklist on the schedule seems to be the after landing checklist.